Okay, we're back on here, and we're at the corner of the garden. Right here on the corner, we'll start with this one. That's some of the primrose. That's the one that grows tall. It's also the one that the Japanese beetles like, but I haven't seen any of those yet this year. And then we'll walk on into the garden here. And over here, we have some habanero peppers. That's my row of habaneros. And then I've got tomatoes here. So what I've got is a tomato and a basil. That's Thai basil. It's the one called Towers. So it will grow up to here. And right in with the tomatoes. My plan is to discourage the groundhog. So it goes tomato, basil, tomato, basil, tomato, basil. And that one on the end's not looking so good. And then, last year all this whole area I just left for all my forest of lamb's quarter. Well, there's still some lamb's quarter here. Got to have some of that to munch on. And here's some of the bull nettle over here. So basically some patches on the edge of the garden that I'm leaving for grabbing greens. And there's a whole bunch of bull nettle and other things in the back part of the garden. Got some lilies growing here, blooming. And let's see here. Yeah. Got another type of nettle there, looks like. Just a young bull nettle, I think. And there's catnip in there too. Got some of that. And around the back side of the tomatoes now. And that fine looking mulch that you see around my tomatoes and peppers comes via the elephants at the zoo. Got some elephant poop. Alright, here's a star attraction. Second year growth of this mullein plant, so it's going to bloom this year. I'll get over to the other side in a minute and be back to the spot where I tried to get them to start, but of course they like to find their own way. Alright, this over here needs a little bit of work, a little bit of thinning out, but we got plenty of lemon balm here. Lots of that this year in this spot. Some burdock that I'll be digging out here, using the leaves for mulch, and the roots will roast and use for making some tea. There's a passion vine that's growing on my wheel. Just found its way there, of course. There's lots of weeds, lots of cleanup I got to do here. There's peony. And there's another burdock plant that I'll dig up. And here is a nice little group of some more mullein. All of these are going to bloom this year. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 plants, looks like. All right, now this section right here on the end of my garden, in my shadow, where you see the gravel, this row, well, that's where I tried to get the mullein to start. I've got one over there in the corner, but they go where they want. You try to get them to go where you want them, and they pick their own place. That's kind of how they do. So I planted some hollyhocks, and I think that's a baby hollyhock right there. And I also put some more mullein seed in this row, but I'm not seeing any babies so far in this. Got some hydrangeas. And lavender getting ready to bloom. That one already is blooming. You see some blooms on there. All right. And then again, there's that mullein plant, and there's some iris that I moved over here last year. And some more areas I need to clean up. I got roses back there behind the grass, but I like the way that grass moves in the wind, and it's just hard to tear it all out. But we'll have to clean up some of it. There's lots of other plants here that are useful. There's some mallow, and of course there's dandelions all over, and I use those. And here's another little primrose coming up right there. They kind of go wherever they want after you bring them in too. All right. So that's the little tour of the garden for this year, compost pile. And stay tuned. All right, we do call this Steve Eats His Yard. So here's a piece of my favorite lamb's quarter. I'm gonna eat it. All right. And maybe you can hear me crunching and eating, but can't figure out how to turn my camera around. All right. Till next time.